All statements and opinions expressed by guests of the Adult in the Room podcast are strictly their own and do not necessarily reflect the beliefs or opinions of the host, producers, or advertisers. All interviews are presented in their most complete possible form in the interests of free speech. No statements should be interpreted as financial, legal, or medical advice. Listener and viewer discretion are strongly advised.
It's the Adult in the Room podcast with Victoria Taft. That's me.
So Mike Zhao is with the Chinese Americans for the Constitution on the harassment. And did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Yes. Yeah.
Yay! How are you? Thank you so much for coming on the Adult in the Room
Yes, thank
podcast.
you for having me, Victoria.
Thank you. What happened? Tell us what happened.
Yeah, basically on Sunday at 3:30, three of our supporters, our group, our organization, were hanging waving the sign, no preposition 50, in the bridge. Basically, it's in the place called Carmen Mountain Road over I-15.
Mm-hmm.
And, suddenly Gavin Newsom supported, stopped her car, parked in the middle of the way, and began to harass the three our supporters who were peacefully waving the sign. And then, they harassed a few times, and then so basically our supporter was retreating, but when she began to become aggressively, one of the supporters called the police, and then that lady stopped, but she on her way back, she yelling at our supporters,
Why you say we go to China? Racist.
Yeah,
I'm playing it, but I'm gonna turn it down so I can hear you talk over it. We'll do that.
This lady yelled at our supporter, said, "Go back to China. Go back to China." That's very racist comments. So our supporter recorded the last part. So that what happened.
That stings. I've been told to. Of course, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest in Oregon and Washington, and spent much of my professional and adult life in California. Had a California license plate. Came back for the summer to visit relatives, and was told by someone, go back to California. And, I thought to myself, I feel a little bit of what that feels like when somebody tells you, go back to China, go back to Mexico, go back to wherever. It's rude. You don't know me. You have nothing to say about it. And I mean, what was the affiliation of this person? Who is this person?
We don't know yet. But she is a supporter of Governor Newsom of California. One thing I want to point out, right? The Democrats, the left, always claim they're a party for immigrants, right?
Right.
But it's their support really, this kind of like racist comments. Actually, this reveal their true color, right? Mm-hmm. They are really only the party of immigrants who really follow the Democratic Party rules. If we have different opinions, they do not have, want to include us. They want us to go back to China. As a matter of fact, all our support are American citizens. They have no right to ask us to go back to China. This is racist assault. Harassment, intimidation against, our supporters.
So you're out there against Proposition 50. Tell me why.
Yeah, basically, actually, I'm the chair for this committee really against that. So that's a couple reasons, right? Number one, many of Chinese Americans like myself, we suffered the communism rule in China. We knew, we really cherish the democracy and, and also freedom in America. And Gavin Newsom's Proposition 50 is a betrayal of the democracy. Why? Because in 2008, California passed Proposition 11. Also in 2010, California passed Proposition 20, all giving the rights for congressional redistricting to the Independent Citizens Committee, not in the Democrats, right? This time they want to take away citizens' rights. That's number one. Number two, Asian Americans suffer the most from the radical policy of the Gavin Newsom. His policy soft on crime. You know, many Asians like myself were not very physically strong. When they have like violence, have robberies, crimes, Asians suffer the most. They also had numerous times tried to reintroduce affirmative action, race-based college admission in California, use DEI to discriminate against like Asians, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you got here just in time for more discrimination against Asians.
Yeah,
sorry to laugh.
And also, Asians pay a lot of tax. But you know what? A few years ago, California had a surplus. But because, you know, Gavin Newsom gave away to the illegal immigrants, also, the people who do not want to work, today they run deficits, right? So we are tired of Gavin Newsom's radical policy, so we want to, stand up against him.
Yeah, I would. Now, tell me about your background. I recognize that you come from China. Are you from the CCP or where are you from?
Yeah, basically, yes. I grew up in communist China under Chinese dictator Chairman Mao. During Cultural Revolution, my father suffered a political persecution. He was tortured and he was publicly humiliated, also lost freedom for 5 years. But that political persecution did not stop at him. My grandparents they used to be landlords. They were deprived of the rights to continue living in Kunming, the capital city of Yunnan province, was sent to the countryside. There's no tap water, no electricity, no nearby clinic. A few months later, my grandma passed away. I grew up in extreme poverty. I tell you something. During that time, every urban citizen, everything was rationed. Every urban citizen only get 1 kilo, basically 2 pounds of meat for the whole month. I had to wake up 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, waiting in the queue for many hours before we can buy some meat. That was socialism. That was communism. That kind of rule. So fortunately, in 1992, I was able to come to America as a poor foreign student with less than $200 in my pocket. I, achieved my American dream. In the last 10 years, I've been fighting in mobilizing Asian community, supporting students for fair admissions, lawsuits against Harvard. 2023, we won the victory. I went to the U.S. Congress, testify on behalf of the whole Asian community.
Wow. So you were part of the Harvard lawsuit. Did you write like a brief, like an amicus brief on that Supreme Court case?
Yes, we organized over 360 Asian communities, organizations, united that, and then filed a mixed brief. We organized demonstrations in front of the Supreme Court, in Boston. We recruited students for Mr. Edward Bloom.
Look at you.
We mobilized the whole Asian community supported that.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Well, one of the things, this is apropos of nothing probably, but I just remember seeing before the melee happened on January 6th, this is, like I said, this is just one of the things I noticed before. There were so many Asian people, so many Chinese people, so many people from the Far East who are American citizens on the streets cheering for Donald Trump. Obviously that didn't, that campaign didn't work out so well. But I just thought, this is just so cool that we have so many different kinds of people in the mix who support this particular president. It's very refreshing. But you've got to...
I want to tell your audience one more thing. Actually,
Yes.
in 2024, I co-founded the Asians Making America Great Again. We
Oh,
campaigned in swing states, help President Trump winning the Asian vote from
ah,
30% to 40%.
so you're
And
that
many
guy.
Chinese Americans, Vietnamese Americans, many of us, we suffered like communist rules. So we really cherish the freedom here. So we are
Yeah.
very conservative. That's something I wanted
Well,
to
there's no better American, I think, in some respects, who are more appreciative of the Constitution, especially, than people who have been, from China or Cuba, who have lived under the communist regime, who have seen with their own eyes what has happened, and come to this country and make it great again as well. So that's amazing. Thank you so much for doing that. And thanks for coming on. And I hope that at some point you will come back and, just talk with me for a little while about your life. And I would love that.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Mike Zhao, who's Chinese Americans for the Constitution on the Adult in the Room podcast. Wow, that's awesome.